Nobody saw this coming. Not like this. Kendrick Lamar's surprise project GNX just did the unthinkable, breaking a streaming record that fans once swore would stand untouched forever. Pop Smoke's posthumous album had set a number so sacred, so respected in the hip-hop world, it was treated like a tribute, a monument to a legend gone too soon. And now, Kendrick, he just shattered it. The moment the numbers dropped, social media exploded. Fans were stunned, torn between celebration and disbelief. Wait, he beat Pop. One user posted while another commented, "This better not turn into beef. Pop Smoke earned that." Spotify trends surged. Hashtags like #KendrickGNX and #PopSmokeLegend started trending side by side. But here's where it gets wild. Rumors say Kendrick knew the record he was about to beat and did something crazy behind the scenes to honor Pop before dropping the album. Insiders claim he reached out to Pop Smoke's team with a private gesture that fans are now begging to see revealed. This isn't just about numbers, it's about legacy, respect, and how one lyrical giant just stirred the spirit of another. So, what really happened? How did GNX change everything? You better keep watching, because this story is deeper than charts. The moment the numbers dropped, everything changed. On a quiet Sunday morning with no prior warning, the official streaming data rolled out, and there it was. Kendrick Lamar's GNX had done what no other artist had managed in 4 years. It surpassed Pop Smoke's sacred record for most global streams in a 24-hour debut window for a hip-hop project. Let that sink in. No sponsored ads, no radio blitz. It's just pure, undiluted hype from the streets and Kendrick's music ripping through the internet like a storm. Social media detonated. On X, formerly Twitter, fans were scrambling to process the numbers. "This can't be real," one user posted with the streaming charts screenshot. Another wrote, "Pop Smoke's record was like a tombstone, untouched. Now Kendrick done kicked it over." The post alone had over 30 million impressions by midday. Within hours, blogs began rewriting their headlines. Hip Hop DX Complex, genius. All of them. Kendrick makes history. Kendrick dethrones Pop. GNX sets new global standard. But what made the moment even crazier? Kendrick hadn't said a word. No post, no reaction. No comment. Just silence and a digital wrecking ball. Fans started revisiting the tracks on GNX, trying to decipher if Kendrick had planned this all along. The lyrics were deep, cryptic, poetic. Some felt like warnings, others felt like dedications. But one bar in particular from track 7, "Fallen Voices Echo Louder in Silence," had fans believing he was talking directly about Pop Smoke. And that's when the emotions started to shift. Because this wasn't just a numbers game anymore. This was emotional. Pop Smoke's fans, loyal and still grieving, felt the pressure of seeing their hero's crown passed on, not by tribute, but by conquest. Instagram accounts dedicated to Pop's legacy started speaking out. This record meant more than streams. One caption read, "It meant remembrance." Pop's mom, Audrey Jackson, even shared a cryptic story on her private page that got picked up by fan accounts. A photo of Pop as a child, smiling, no words, no caption. Just the timestamp of the day the record was broken. The post went viral, and the tone online began to twist. Suddenly, Kendrick's silence felt louder. People started asking, was this intentional? Did Kendrick know this project would break Pop's record? And if he did, why not address it with honor? Meanwhile, on the West Coast, Kendrick's camp stayed radio silent. But behind the scenes, people close to him were already feeling the heat. A sound engineer who worked on GNX anonymously shared with a podcast that Kendrick was conflicted about releasing the project. He knew it was going to be big. He knew the music was going to shake up the world. But breaking Pop's record? That wasn't the point. That was just the cost. But fans weren't ready to hear that. Especially Pop's fans. Comments started flooding Kendrick's older posts. Things like you could have at least spoken his name, and legends don't erase legends. The tone was getting aggressive. Emotional Raw. One fan even posted a video burning their vinyl of Good Kid. M.A.A.D City. You disrespected the Woo. The caption read, "The division was now public." Kendrick's fans began clapping back. They argued that GNX was art, that numbers don't lie, and that Kendrick had every right to win. One tweet read, "Kendrick didn't erase pop. He elevated him by making people remember the record existed." Another fan said, "You really think Kendrick, who wrote entire albums about trauma and grief, would disrespect the dead? Nah, you don't know him." But the tension kept building by day 3. Industry heads were weighing in. Elliot Wilson tweeted, "Kendrick broke the record, yes. But the silence around pop is what's upsetting people." This moment could have been handled with more care. Angie Martinez said on air, "Kendrick is an artist of principle, but sometimes principle means acknowledging the path others paved. Pop deserved a mention. Then something happened that turned everything on its head." Pop Smoke's producer, 808 Mello, dropped a tweet that shook the internet. "The record is yours. K, just remember who made you fight for it." Fans didn't know what to do with that. Was it shade? Respect? Both hip-hop was divided. Again, and yet still. Not a single word from Kendrick, but behind the curtain. Something was stirring. Sources close to Pidgey Long confirmed that Kendrick was planning something. Not a response post, not a live, but a short film. And it was already in post-production. The title? Gang. The cost of silence immediately. Speculation exploded. Is this Kendrick's apology? One user asked. Or is he about to triple down and flip the narrative again? Another wondered. But before the film even had a release date, things got more complicated. Because guess who decided to step into the conversation? 50 Cent, yes, 250. Mentor to Pop Smoke, protector of legacy. And now, judge, jury, and executioner of respect. In an Instagram story that lit the internet on fire. 50 posted a screenshot of the streaming stats. Kendrick's GNX on top. Pop's numbers just below it, and wrote, "They don't gotta compete. If you make the win mean something," fans gasped. Some saw it as shade, others saw it as a challenge. Either way, the message was clear. 50 wanted Kendrick to say something, and suddenly, silence didn't feel powerful anymore. It felt dangerous as 50 Cent's cryptic post continued making waves across every social platform. Fans started demanding clarity. What does he mean by that? This became the #1 question trending on X. Was 50 defending Pop's legacy or quietly pushing Kendrick to respond? Or was it both? The silence around Kendrick was becoming unbearable, even for his most loyal fans. For an artist so deeply tied to the culture, whose pen had always cut through noise and confusion like a knife, this ghosting felt unsettling. Then came the leak. An unlisted YouTube link with no title began circulating in fan groups, barely over 2 minutes long. But what it contained: Kendrick Lamar, alone, no beat, no production, standing under a single spotlight in what looked like a derelict theater. And he spoke, not rapped, not rhymed. Spoke. I never wanted to break the record. I wanted to honor it. But the world don't hear whispers, it only hears fireworks. Fans were frozen. He continued. Pop's voice carried pain and power. I ain't trying to outshine that. I was trying to remember it. And then came the line that split hip-hop again. If silence is disrespect, maybe y'all forgot who taught y'all to listen. Boom. Some called it pure poetry. Others, pure arrogance. Within 30 minutes, the video was pulled. Copyright strike. Rumors flew that Pidgey Long yanked it because it wasn't supposed to be released yet. But the damage, or maybe the magic, was done. Fans had gotten what they wanted. A voice from the shadows. The short clip reignited the conversation. This time, People weren't just comparing numbers, they were comparing legacies. Was Pop's impact cultural or commercial? One podcast debated, did Kendrick just admit guilt or flex on the whole game? Other asked. Meanwhile, tension within the industry hit a boiling point when Quavo, one of the few rappers who had worked with both Pop and Kendrick, dropped a tweet that shocked everyone. Two kings. Two missions don't make us pick sides. Even J. Cole, the usually reserved peacemaker, was spotted liking tweets defending both Kendrick and Pop's impact. Hip-hop's biggest names were quietly positioning themselves. And then came the biggest twist yet. A mysterious message appeared on Pop Smoke's official Instagram story. Just one sentence. He knew what it meant. No context, no signature. Was it his team? His family? A hacked account? No one knew, but it went viral in under 10 minutes. People were dissecting every word, every possible interpretation. Was it suggesting Pop would have been proud? Or was it calling out Kendrick for knowing he crossed a line? Meanwhile, at PG Lang, pressure was mounting. Kendrick's single quotes S team began internally debating whether to release the short film as planned, or scrap it entirely to avoid fanning the flames. But then, a massive billboard appeared in Brooklyn, Pop's hometown. White background, black serif font. GNX means never forgetting the fallen. K. No logo, no branding, just the message. Brooklyn stood still. Fans gathered. Some cried. Others took photos. But most stood in silence, watching the message shimmer under the city lights. Kendrick had finally spoken, but this time not with words, with gesture and in hip-hop. Sometimes that speaks louder. Even 50 Cent reposted the billboard on his Instagram with a simple caption. That's how you do it. The comments section exploded. Unity, relief, maybe even closure. But just when fans thought the drama had reached its peaceful end, Jim Jones stepped into the arena. Yes, him again, in a live stream from his studio with blunt honesty and no filter. Jim let loose. So let me get this straight, he said, leaning forward. We gotta throw a parade every time Kendrick drops something. Y'all crying over billboards now? The chat went insane. Nah, respect to Pop, rest in peace. But if that was me, that record wouldn't have fallen. He laughed. Matter? Fact, let's talk about how many of y'all really bumped Pop's album before y'all started tweeting about it. Gasps. Flames in the chat. It was clear this wasn't about Pop anymore. This was about jealousy. About competition, about territory and a culture that's constantly rewriting its own rules. Within an hour, Jim Jones was trending alongside Kendrick and Pop Smoke, a triangle of tension that had the entire internet spiraling. People started comparing verses, bringing up old beefs, resharing videos of Kendrick's bet cipher, Pop's freestyles, and Jim's most viral interviews. Is Jim bitter Kendrick's the one breaking records and not him? One tweet said, or is he just the only one saying what others scared to admit? Another argued. Meanwhile, Nas. Yes, Nas surprised everyone with a rare Instagram story, a black and white photo of him and Pop from a studio session. With a caption, numbers fade, legacies don't. No name drops, no commentary. But everyone knew who that was meant for, and it worked like fuel on an already raging fire. Kendrick's fans now felt like they had to defend him all over again. Pop's fans felt re-energized, and Jim's supporters. They saw him as the last real one left, unafraid to rattle the elite, and through all of it, Kendrick. Silent again, but something about the silence felt different now. Intentional, almost strategic. Back at PG Lang, word began spreading. Kendrick wasn't going to respond again. Not in videos, not in tweets, not in bars. Instead, he was preparing. Something else, something big. Rumors started surfacing. It's about a surprise live performance, an unreleased GNX track dedicated entirely to fallen legends. The title, Eulogies. The internet waited. Meanwhile, fans and critics alike started arguing over what it even meant to break records anymore. Was Kendrick guilty of overshadowing Pop Smoke? Or was the world guilty of using Pop's name to gatekeep success? And somewhere in the middle of all the chaos, the line blurred. 3 days later, without a single announcement, teaser, or even a press release, it dropped the short film. Simply titled Eulogies. Uploaded to Pajilong's official channel, the video began with stark silence. No opening. Beat. No logo. No intro, just an old tape recorder clicking on. Kendrick sat in the same dusty theater where the leaked clip had been filmed. This time, he wasn't alone. Surrounding him were 5 empty chairs, each with a name tag. Pop, Nipsey, X. Juice Mac. The screen lingered for several seconds. Then Kendrick looked into the camera and said, "This ain't about charts. It's about ghosts." What followed was 6 minutes of raw, haunting poetry layered over ambient sounds, subway rumble, wind through trees. Faint sirens in the distance. Kendrick didn't rap. He grieved. He recited tributes. Not just to the rappers who had passed, but to the dreams they carried, the cities they repped, and the pain they never got to speak fully. For Pop said, "You've built a kingdom out of melody and menace. They labeled you drill, but you was preaching. I heard sermons in your 808s. And at the end, he whispered, we didn't break your record. We echoed your legacy." The internet lost its collective mind. Comments flooded in from all corners, rappers, actors, fans, critics, all calling it one of the most powerful pieces of modern hip-hop tribute art ever. It was #1 trending globally within an hour. But not everyone was applauding. Academics, the ever-controversial podcaster, posted a heated rant. Kendrick ain't slick. He made this all sentimental now, so no one questions how he really feeling about breaking Pop's record. This ain't tribute, this manipulation. Within moments, responses flooded in. Some called academics out for clout chasing. Others agreed. Meanwhile, Meek Mill tweeted that Kendrick piece had me silent for real. Made me miss the ones we lost. Salute. Even Fabulous, who rarely comments on controversy, posted a black square with the word Eulogies. The streets were talking, the blogs were burning, and YouTube on fire. But what no one expected, not even the most diehard stan, was the reappearance of Pop Smoke's brother, Obasi. In a rare Instagram live, Obasi spoke from his room, surrounded by murals of Pop, shaking slightly but composed. "I've been quiet long enough," he said. "Seen the discourse, the shade, the fake love, the real love, all of it." His voice cracked. Pop ain't never care about records. He cared about impact, about sound, about how the music made people feel. He took a long breath before finishing. And what Kendrick did, that's respect. "My brother would have loved that tribute. So from the family, we say thank you." You could hear a pin drop in the comment section. The tension that had been building for weeks seemed to exhale just for a moment. But of course, this is hip-hop. Peace doesn't last long. Just when people started saying maybe now this is over, a private voice message leaked out allegedly from Jim Jones to a friend in the industry. The audio is scratchy, low quality, clearly not meant to be heard by the public. But the content is devastating. "Kendrick too sensitive for this game, bro. Y'all letting the nerds win. Man made a poem and now he get a statue. Come on, man." Boom. It hit the timeline like dynamite. People were now accusing Jim of trying to invalidate grief, disrespecting tribute, being intentionally cruel. And the clapbacks came fast. Whale tweeted, "Nah. There's a difference between being real and being reckless." $IGN posted a clip of Eulogies with the caption, "We needed this. Let the artists feel." Meanwhile, Kendrick's team went into silence mode again. No response, no reposts, nothing done. Then suddenly, Tickets went live. Kendrick Lamar presents Eulogies, a one-night Tonely live experience location. Apollo Theater, Harlem date. 1 week from now's show sold out in 90 seconds. Fans began speculating. Would he perform the tribute piece live? Would other artists join? Was this the final word on the Pop Smoke controversy? But deep inside the industry, rumors started to swirl. This event wasn't just a performance, it was going to be a reckoning. Sources claimed Kendrick was planning to speak, not just perform, to confront everything: the broken record, the backlash, the grief, the guilt, and most of all, the culture war erupting around him. And at the same time, Jim Jones posted a mysterious photo of him in New York, captioned, "Pooling up." Y'all know what time it is? Was Jim going to crash? The event? Confront Kendrick face to face. Or make peace in public. Tensions were boiling once again. Media outlets began prepping emergency coverage. The New York Post's entertainment section ran the headline: Kendrick Lamar's Apollo Showdown Redemption or Retaliation. Hip-hop tees called it the most important live hip-hop event of the year. And fans, they were split. Some wanted closure. Others wanted confrontation. Everyone wanted something to happen. The night before the event, a mysterious file began circulating on Reddit. Title: Gang, Unreleased Ashes. No one knew where it came from, but the lyrics inside: pure fire, and clearly written after everything had gone down. A few lines stood out. They say the quiet ones start wars they don't fight in, but I was in the trenches writing eulogies with lightning. They mourn numbers, but forget the soul. I broke a record, not a code. You scream real while ducking the realest truths. Ironic. No, fans were shook. If Kendrick performed Ashes live at the Apollo, the entire conversation would flip again. But then, another bombshell. 50 Cent posted a photo of him backstage at the Apollo. Caption: It's about to get emotional. Nobody knew what role 50 would play. But everyone knew something massive was coming. And as the clock ticked down toward showtime, social media held its breath. What would happen when Kendrick finally took the stage? Would Eulogies bring the culture together or tear it further apart? And would Jim Jones stand down or stand up? The answers were just hours away. The Apollo stage was dark. No opening acts. No host. Just the sound of thunder rumbling through the speakers low. Distant, ominous dot. Then a single spotlight. Kendrick Lamar stepped out wearing all black. No jewelry, no chains. Just a plain GNX hoodie. The crowd, silent. Not a single scream. They knew something important was about to happen. He stood there for a full 30 seconds before speaking. "This ain't a concert," he said, his voice calm, steady. "This ain't about records or charts or blogs. This is for the ones who ain't here." Then, without warning, Eulogies began. But this time, it wasn't the version from YouTube. This was live orchestration. Strings and soft piano building around his words like a requiem. Behind him, black and white portraits of Pop Smoke, Nipsey, Mac Miller, XXX, and Juice WRLD slowly faded in and out across the screen as Kendrick moved through each verse. Poetic, raw, soul-bearing. Fans began crying in the crowd. It wasn't hype, it wasn't flashy, it was vulnerable. And just when everyone thought it was over, 50 Cent walked onto the stage. The crowd gasped. .50 didn't have a mic. He didn't need one. He walked up to Kendrick, pulled him into a silent embrace, and stepped back. Then he raised his arm and pointed at the screen behind them. A new image appeared. Pop Smoke, smiling, hands in prayer. 50 nodded. Kendrick nodded. The audience roared, not with hype, but with release. The moment felt bigger than music, but the piece wouldn't last long. Jim Jones was in the building and backstage. The tension was unbearable. A leaked video showed Jim pacing, talking heatedly to someone off camera. "Nah, I ain't just gonna sit here while they rewrite history," he said. Nah, I'ma say something. Security scrambled. Producers whispered. Fans online began speculating in real time. Is Jim Jones gonna storm the stage? But instead, he waited. When the lights came up and Kendrick exited, the venue erupted into applause. Fans began leaving, thinking the night was over. And that's when the chaos hit. Jim Jones went live on Instagram. From inside the venue, he was standing in the hallway near the stage exit. Phone in hand, eyes wild. Yo, I sat through that whole thing. Respect to the lost ones, real talk. But Kendrick, you ain't invincible, bro. You human just like the rest of us. Stop acting like your pain count more than ours. Within seconds, the live hit 200K viewers, and then Kendrick appeared. Behind him, you could hear someone gasp on the live. Kendrick didn't say a word. He just looked at Jim. Jim turned around. The two locked eyes. 10 seconds of silence. Tense, electric. You got something to say. Say it to me. Kendrick finally said. Jim held the phone down. Man, all this theatrical tribute, *T. It's cute. Cool, but you broke a record and all you had to say was sorry. Not a whole stage play. Kendrick's jaw tightened. I don't apologize for honoring the dead. Nah, Jim said, stepping closer. You apologize when the living feel disrespected by how you do it. They were face to face now. No yelling. Just raw, low-energy confrontation. Both men clearly aware the whole culture was watching. Kendrick leaned in slightly. I didn't break Pop's legacy. I carried it. She paused, breathed in deep. Then, so prove it. He pulled something out of his coat pocket, a demo. CD? This unreleased Pop vocals. His fam gave it to me. Wanted to find the right way to honor him. Now I'm giving it to you. Kendrick stared at it, surprised. You want to show respect? Jim continued. Put that pen to work. You finished the verse. For him. And with that, Jim dropped the CD into Kendrick's hand and walked off. No drama, no fight. Just silence. The next morning, the internet exploded. Jim Jones passes torch to Kendrick. Did hip-hop just witness the most powerful peace offering ever? Unreleased pop vocals in Kendrick's hands? What happens now? PG Lang issued no statement. Kendrick posted no stories. Jim didn't tweet a word. But 1 week later, a single post appeared on Kendrick's account. A black screen. White text, ashes.ft, Pop Smoke. July 28th, nothing else. And that's all it took. Spotify crashed when the track dropped. YouTube hit 10 million views in under 3 hours. The track, Masterpiece. Kendrick opened with a verse that walked the line between sorrow and salvation. Then, halfway through, Pop's voice entered, booming, crisp, restored. His unfinished verse now complete thanks to Kendrick. Fans wept. Critics applauded. Artists reposted. And somewhere deep in the comments sections, among the chaos and clout, sentence stood out, hip-hop just healed itself. So now that the dust has settled, the charts shattered, and the voices of the fallen echoed once more, we're all left asking the same question. Did we just witness a cultural reset? Kendrick Lamar didn't just break a record. He touched something deeper. He honored pain, memory, and legacy with nothing but words, vision, and raw emotion. But it wasn't just about him. It was about Pop Smoke. It was about the silence left behind by lost voices. And maybe, just maybe, it was about showing that in a genre built on competition, respect still matters. But let's be real, not everyone's buying it. Some fans say Kendrick used Pop's name to boost GNX. Others think Jim Jones handed him the ultimate challenge. And there are those who believe this collab was the closure we never knew we needed. What do you think? Was Kendrick's tribute genuine or calculated? Did Jim Jones pass the torch or set a trap? Most importantly, did Pop Smoke's legacy just evolve or get overshadowed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Every opinion counts. Smash that like button if you believe real music speaks louder than numbers. And if you're writing with this level of storytelling, emotion, and hip-hop, truth, go ahead and subscribe. We're just getting started. Because in a world full of noise, this was a moment of silence that said everything. We'll see you in the next one. Stay tuned, stay real, and never forget. Legends never die, never die.